Magic was born to help and create miracles. But who says every miracle is a blessing? Every supernatural power comes with its own steep price. And as the magic grows, so does its danger. Stay tuned to uncover the peril that lurks behind each spell, threatening both its wielder and the world around them. You might be shocked seeing this type of magic on the list, but in many cultures, healing magic, sometimes called white magic, isn't always safer than its darker counterparts. While it might sound gentle and benevolent, practitioners like shamans and medicine men often believe that nothing in the spiritual world comes for free. Everything, every spell, every cure has a cost. In many traditions, that price is paid by the healer themselves, often with their own energy, health, or even years of their life. Healing someone else may mean shortening your own life, especially when facing powerful curses or grave injuries. Healing magic is a form of spiritual or energy-based practice meant to restore balance, remove illness, or break negative forces like curses or spiritual attachments. It can involve rituals, sacred chants, herbs, talismans, or even invoking spirits or deities. In some traditions, such as among Siberian shamans or indigenous healers in the Amazon, the practitioner enters a trance to journey into the spirit world and retrieve the lost health of the person they're healing. In others, like Filipino albularios or African witch doctors, healing might be done by absorbing the sickness into their own bodies, then expelling it through a ritual. These are not light acts. They require immense focus and sacrifice. The real danger lies in how the magic works. In many cultures, healing involves the transfer of energy from the healer to the sick person. That energy often comes from the healer's own life force, sometimes referred to as mana, chi, or ASE. Over time, constant use of this kind of magic can leave the practitioner drained, weak, or even sick themselves. It's believed that some shamans die young not because of illness, but because they gave too much of themselves healing others. In worst-case scenarios, powerful curses may even fight back, harming the healer in the process. So while the one being healed may walk away whole, the healer often bears unseen scars. There are stories from across the world where this type of magic has proven deadly for the healer. In Tibetan traditions, some monks who performed rituals to absorb illnesses were said to die mysteriously shortly afterward, believed to have taken on the patient's karma. In Celtic lore, certain druids were known to offer their own blood in rites meant to revive or protect others, an act that would hasten their own deaths. Even in modern folk practices, there are warnings. Healers are told not to work too often or too deeply, lest they burn out spiritually. So, while healing magic may be viewed as noble or sacred, its cost to the human practitioner is very real, and sometimes tragically final. We've all seen enough scary movies to know how terrifying a possession can be, but that's usually when the entity is evil. In reality, many cultures throughout history have practiced forms of possession and invocation magic where the body is willingly offered as a vessel. Sometimes it's believed that a god enters the body to deliver messages, offer wisdom, or even help fight evil. But here's the problem. No matter how noble the intention, the human body was never designed to host something divine or otherworldly. And that's exactly what makes this type of magic so dangerous. Possession and invocation magic involve allowing a spirit, deity, or supernatural force to temporarily take control of a person's body. In religious rituals from voodoo in Haiti to shamanistic traditions in Siberia, practitioners enter trance-like states to invite a being into themselves. These moments can be dramatic. Eyes roll back, voices change, and the host seems to become something entirely different. In some traditions, like the Oracle of Delphi in ancient Greece, the host would deliver prophetic messages believed to come directly from the gods. But despite how sacred it may seem, what's happening is intense. The person becomes a bridge between two worlds, and that bridge can crack. What makes this magic dangerous is the sheer strain it puts on the mind and body. Humans aren't built to carry divine energy or the weight of spirits. Some accounts describe physical exhaustion, emotional breakdowns, or even permanent damage after repeated possessions. If the spirit is malevolent or if the invocation was done wrong, it can go even worse. The person may lose control, becoming trapped in their own body while something else takes the wheel. In ancient cultures, this was seen as both a gift and a curse. You were honored, yes, but at what cost? There are countless stories that show how risky this magic can be. In West African Vodun, for instance, followers may collapse after a possession ceremony, their energy completely drained. In some Native American traditions, shamans who commune too often with the spirit world are said to age faster or lose touch with reality. Even in Christian accounts of demonic possession, exorcisms are brutal, not just because of the entity, but because of what the human body goes through during the fight. These aren't just stories, they're warnings. Possession and invocation magic are powerful tools, but power always comes with a price. In hindsight, sacrificial magic doesn't seem all that dangerous, until you realize the sacrifice is alive, or worse, a human. At first glance, it might sound like just another dark spell, but this kind of magic has been used in mythology for some terrifying reasons. Whether it's summoning a godlike entity or casting a curse on someone from afar, sacrificial magic often shows up when other options have run out. It's also one of the more unsettling answers to the problem we talked about with healing magic: how to power a spell without draining your own life force. Instead of paying the price themselves, magic users pass that cost on to something or someone else. And the stronger the spell, the greater the sacrifice it demands. Sacrificial magic is exactly what it sounds like: the act of offering a living being or a valuable object in exchange for supernatural power. In ancient practices, this could be as simple as burning crops or as horrifying as offering a person to the gods. In Aztec mythology, warriors were sacrificed to feed the sun and keep the world alive. In some forms of Norse sorcery, blood was used in rituals to commune with spirits. And in certain grim corners of medieval grimoires, a ritual might require the death of an animal or even a human for a spell to take effect. These sacrifices act as fuel, making the spell stronger, more effective, or even possible in the first place. What makes this magic dangerous to humans isn't just the sacrifice, it's the mindset it creates. When someone sees life as expendable for the sake of power, it opens the door to abuse. In many stories, mages become addicted to the ease of trading lives for strength. And unlike spells that burn out the caster, sacrificial magic protects the user by shifting the cost to someone else. That's what makes it terrifying. It removes the natural limit. The more ruthless the caster, the more powerful they can become. And in the wrong hands, that's a recipe for destruction. One of the most chilling examples comes from the legend of King Moctezuma II, who oversaw mass human sacrifices to ensure divine favor before war. In Greek mythology, Agamemnon sacrificed his daughter Iphigenia to gain the winds needed to sail to Troy. Even in fiction, like the necromancers of fantasy worlds, we see how easily sacrificial magic turns into horror. Whether it's ancient history or myth, the danger of sacrificial magic isn't just in the act. It's in what it allows people to justify. When magic comes at someone else's cost, the real price is our humanity. If you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can unsubscribe later. Summoning magic might be one of the coolest types of magic there is. Imagine having your own personal creature, maybe a mighty wolf spirit, a winged guardian, or even a fiery elemental loyal to you, ready to guide, protect, or fight for you. Sounds awesome, right? But here's the catch. Summoning magic isn't just about calling helpful beings. Sometimes it can go horribly wrong, like summoning a powerful demon that refuses to be controlled. The danger lies not just in the spell, but in what you bring through. And when things go sideways, it's not just the summoner who pays the price. Summoning magic is the act of calling a spirit, creature, or entity from another realm into our world. In traditional magical systems, it often involves the use of sigils, symbols, names, and carefully drawn circles to bind the summoned being. These symbols act like an address and a key at the same time. Think of it like trying to contact someone online. If you get their username or IP address wrong, you might reach someone else entirely. That's what makes summoning both precise and risky. In ancient grimoires, for example, demons were only to be summoned using their true names and specific ritual seals. Even a small error in the diagram or the pronunciation could open a door to something unexpected. and usually very dangerous. This kind of magic is especially dangerous to humans because it's based on the assumption that the summoner is stronger than the being they're calling. But that's rarely the case. Many summoning rituals pull creatures from realms beyond human understanding, spirits of chaos, ancient gods, or high-ranking demons from grim folklore like Asmodeus or Belial. These beings are intelligent and manipulative. If the summoning circle is broken or the binding is weak, they can turn on the caster and wreak havoc in the physical world. Some legends even speak of summoned beings attaching themselves to places or people, refusing to return to their realm, and causing long-term destruction. There are countless myths that show how wrong this can go. In the Ars Goetia, part of the Lesser Key of Solomon, a magician who improperly summoned the demon boar was said to have lost control and gone mad from the presence of such a being. In Japanese folklore, stories of onmyoji summoning spirits sometimes end in disaster when vengeful yokai or ghosts break free of their magical bonds. Even in Norse mythology, the danger of calling on unknown forces is echoed in the tale of Odin summoning the spirit of a vulva, only for her to warn him of doom. Summoning and evocation are thrilling, but without strict control and deep knowledge, they are a fast track to disaster. And in most stories, it's not just the caster who suffers. Sometimes entire towns pay the price. Even though time manipulation or chronomancy is one of the most powerful types of magic, I placed it lower in the magical hierarchy because few, if any, mortals can actually master or use it. The concept is fascinating, a magic that could, in theory, allow someone to change past events, freeze time, or even travel through it. However, this power comes with a colossal risk, not to the caster alone, but to the entire fabric of our universe. At its core, chronomancy is the art of manipulating time. Imagine being able to rewind or fast-forward the moments of your life, or even alter significant historical events. In theory, one might fix mistakes or prevent disasters. Yet, the act of altering time isn't as simple as editing a video. Every change, however minute, creates ripples that can expand exponentially, affecting events and lives far beyond the initial alteration. This magic is dangerous to humanity because time is a delicate, interconnected tapestry. Changing even a seemingly trivial event in the past can trigger a chain reaction, a butterfly effect, that may result in unexpected and irreversible changes in the present and future. The idea is not just about personal regret or a personal dilemma. It's about the stability of the entire universe. When you tamper with time, you risk unraveling the cause and effect that holds reality together. Historical myths and speculative tales have long warned us about the perils of chronomancy. For instance, legends tell of powerful sorcerers who attempted to alter events to prevent wars or disasters, only to find that their interventions led to even greater chaos. Myths and legends often hint at figures who've tampered with time, sometimes as gods, sometimes as reckless mortals. In many versions of the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice, for example, Orpheus doesn't just wish to bring his wife back from the dead. He wishes to undo time itself, which ultimately ends in tragedy. Another example is King Revata from Hindu mythology, who visits the god Brahma in the heavens. When he returns, thousands of years have passed, and his entire world is gone. These stories remind us that time does not like to be interfered with. These stories, while mythological, serve as a cautionary tale. Meddling with time could not only distort the natural progression of events, but might also lead to catastrophic outcomes that threaten the very existence of humanity. Curses and hexes are as old as magic itself, and they're one of the darkest forms of sorcery. While most magic is meant to protect or heal, curses and hexes serve the opposite purpose. They're meant to cause harm, suffering, and even death, and in some cases, the effects can last for generations. Simply put, this type of magic is about forcing pain, illness, and misfortune onto someone, turning their life upside down with the power of dark intent. At its core, curse magic is a way for the caster to manipulate fate and force it into a negative direction for the victim. The caster channels negative energy, often using specific rituals or tools like objects, names, or symbols to bind the curse. This power might make someone fall ill, lose their wealth, or even suffer emotional torment. A hex, which is essentially a more specific and focused curse, could bring even more severe consequences. Think of it like a personalized attack on someone's well-being or happiness, targeted to break them down mentally, emotionally, or physically. The danger to humans lies in the unpredictability and the sometimes irreversible nature of these spells. Curses and hexes don't just disrupt a person's life for a short time. They can leave lasting scars, both physically and psychologically. Imagine being the target of a curse that causes a string of bad luck, constant injury, loss, and heartache that no one can explain. Worse, a hex can be designed to slowly kill someone or drain their life force, making them weak or ill over time. This is why those who wield such power are often feared, as they hold the ability to ruin lives without much physical effort. Throughout history, there are countless examples of curses and hexes causing great harm. One famous example comes from ancient Greece, where the god Apollo cursed a man named King Midas, turning everything he touched into gold. While it sounds like a blessing at first, the curse ultimately led to Midas's undoing, as he couldn't eat or drink without everything turning to gold. This reflects the power of curses. What seems like a simple spell can spiral into something far worse. Similarly, in various cultures, the idea of a death curse has lingered, where someone's final words or an act of vengeance can bind the victim to a slow, painful end, leaving them powerless to stop it. Unlike other types of magic we've explored, witchcraft stands apart as a form of magic primarily aimed at harming others. While curse magic and hexes can be wielded by a variety of magic users, witchcraft is largely practiced by those specifically identified as witches. This type of magic involves its own distinct set of rituals and practices, some of which are considered far more dangerous than others. The practitioner of witchcraft, a witch, typically channels energy from the natural and supernatural realms to manipulate the world around them, and their magic can have significant, often harmful, consequences. Witchcraft is particularly dangerous to humans because it directly taps into these natural and supernatural forces to cause harm. Unlike other forms of magic, which may have more neutral or constructive uses, witchcraft often involves spells that are intended to create lasting negative effects. For example, some witches in folklore are believed to have the power to cause illness, misfortune, or even death. One of the darker legends involves witches casting spells to trigger pandemics, spreading diseases that could wipe out entire populations. While such tales are often embellished or mythologized, they underscore a very real fear of the consequences of meddling with forces that humans cannot easily understand or control. At its essence, witchcraft revolves around the manipulation of energy to achieve a specific outcome. Some witches use their powers for healing or protection, but others turn to darker purposes. A witch might cast a spell to curse an enemy, manipulate someone's thoughts, or even control their actions. For instance, the binding spell, a common form of witchcraft, involves using magic to prevent someone from doing something deemed harmful or threatening. Often, witchcraft works through intimate objects, hair, nails, or even blood, which creates a personal connection to the target, intensifying the spell's power and making it even more dangerous. The dangers of witchcraft are not just theoretical, they have been felt throughout history. The mere accusation of being a witch has led to severe social consequences, including witch hunts and mass executions, as seen in the infamous Salem witch trials. Even without practicing magic, being labeled a witch could lead to persecution, fear, and violence. In many cultures, the word witch still carries a heavy weight, often invoking fear and distrust, regardless of whether the individual actually practices witchcraft. This historical context adds another layer of danger to the concept of witchcraft. It's not just the magic itself, but the social implications of being associated with it. Even today, witchcraft continues to be feared in both historical narratives and modern folklore. Stories of witches cursing families, causing strange illnesses, or casting dangerous spells still evoke caution in many cultures. While much of this is exaggerated myth and legend, the enduring fear of witchcraft speaks to the power that such practices are believed to hold. Most magic systems require time, ritual, or rare ingredients, but there's one type that skips the waiting, the chanting, and the careful preparation. Unlike sacrificial magic, Where something or someone is offered up to invoke power, blood magic takes things a step further. It's raw, direct, and far more violent. This form of magic doesn't just use life, it runs on it. And the darker truth? The more life you drain, the more power you gain. Blood magic is the practice of using blood, your own or someone else's, as a conduit for magical power. It's not just symbolic. In many mythologies, blood is believed to carry the soul or essence of life itself. That's why using it for spells amplifies their potency. A small cut might power a simple binding spell. A full ritual with spilled blood that could bend minds or crush bones. Some say blood magic can even manipulate the blood inside another person's body, like turning their limbs against them or stopping their heart with a whisper. And in the deepest, darkest texts, blood magic can reach into the mind, rewriting thoughts or shattering a person's will completely. According to some legends, the first humans to learn blood magic were taught by a demon, suggesting this art was never meant for mortal hands. The danger of blood magic doesn't just lie in its effects, it's in the cost. Because this power is tied to life force, every time a sorcerer draws from it, they're either weakening themselves or taking the life of someone else. Even if they're not sacrificing others, prolonged use of blood magic can age the user, break down their body, and sometimes even lead to insanity. There's also a psychological cost. Once you've felt the power of commanding someone's body like a puppet or silencing a rival by stopping their blood mid-sentence, it becomes easy to forget where the line is. That's what makes blood magic so feared. It tempts even good people into doing terrible things. We see this danger play out in multiple myths and stories. In some West African traditions, sorcerers called Abayafo were believed to use blood to fuel their magic and could drain victims dry without ever touching them. In medieval grimoires, blood was a key component in forbidden rituals meant to summon spirits or control demons. Even in Norse tales, there are references to cedar magic, a type of sorcery, being boosted by blood sacrifices, pushing the practitioner into dangerous territory. What all these stories have in common is simple. Once you invoke blood magic, something always changes, either in the world around you or inside you. Knowing the future might sound like a gift, but what if it's actually a curse? Imagine being told something life-changing will happen, something you can't stop thinking about. That kind of knowledge can twist the mind, break relationships, and lead to disaster. In the world of mythology, there's one type of magic that's known to do just that are called divination or prophecy, but let's call it future sight. Future sight is the magical ability to see events before they happen. Sometimes it comes as visions, dreams, or even cryptic messages from the gods. At first glance, it seems like an advantage, you know what's coming, right? But mythology tells us otherwise. One of the most well-known examples is the Titan Cronus. He ruled as king of the Titans, strong and respected. But the moment he heard a prophecy that his own child would overthrow him, everything changed. Out of fear, Cronus swallowed each of his children right after they were born, trying to stop fate. But that very act guaranteed it. His son Zeus survived, grew up, and fulfilled the prophecy. This type of magic is dangerous to humans because it messes with choice. When people know what's coming, they often try to change it, and in doing so, they create the very future they feared. It plants obsession and fear in the mind. Odin, the Norse Allfather, is another great example. He searched endlessly for knowledge of the future, sacrificing even his eye to gain wisdom. But the visions he received only confirmed Ragnarok, the end of the gods. And despite all his efforts to stop it, every move he made seemed to bring it closer. In trying to prevent doom, he helped ensure it. There are countless examples of future sight hurting rather than helping. Cassandra from Greek myth was cursed to see the future but never be believed. She foresaw the fall of Troy, begged others to listen, but they didn't. Her knowledge became a burden, isolating and heartbreaking. Throughout myth and even modern stories, future sight leads to destruction. Kings wage wars to stop a prophesied rival. Societies collapse when people panic about doom. Innocent lives are lost because someone tries to fix a future that hasn't happened yet. The danger isn't just the vision, it's how people react to it. And that's what makes this type of magic so harmful. It doesn't destroy cities directly, but it plants the fear that does. Even in modern stories inspired by mythology, the idea stays the same. Knowing too much can be dangerous. Future sight may seem like a powerful tool, but in human hands, it often leads to tragedy. Because sometimes, the worst thing you can do is know what's coming. Arise, my fellow mythical lovers, and welcome to the world of necromancy, the magic that taps into the power of the dead. Imagine having your own army of undead ready to do your bidding. It's one of the most dangerous forms of magic known today. Necromancy, at its core, is the magic of communicating with the dead. In ancient times, this art wasn't considered evil. People used it to call upon spirits, seeking wisdom or guidance from those who had passed. It was a tool for knowledge, not necessarily malevolent in nature. However, as time went on, necromancy's association with the darker side of magic grew. The rise of the necromancer and, most famously, the lich, an undead spellcaster who controls the dead, cemented its place as a feared and dangerous practice. When a person, driven by an unquenchable thirst for immortality and knowledge, transforms themselves into a lich, they lose their humanity, becoming a powerful but twisted version of what they once were. The transformation grants them immense control over the dead, making them one of the most feared wielders of necromantic magic. The real danger of necromancy lies in its potential to create powerful, uncontrollable forces. A necromancer's ability to raise the dead, turning them into zombies or skeletons, is not just a matter of reanimating bodies. It's about breaking the natural order of life and death. Imagine if a necromancer were to raise an army of the dead. It's not just about having minions at your disposal. It's about the endless supply of bodies that could be used to destroy entire civilizations. In today's world, a single undead creature, like a zombie, could wreak havoc, spreading infection and chaos. It could take as little as 6 months to 1 year for most of the human population to become zombies or die. The danger isn't just physical destruction, though. Necromancy also poses a serious moral and ethical threat. When a necromancer raises the dead, they often turn to dark rituals that tamper with souls and the afterlife. The process isn't just about reanimating flesh, it's about distorting the very essence of a person. It's a corruption of life, a stripping away of dignity and peace. And the more a necromancer seeks control, the more they risk losing their humanity altogether, becoming a hollow, power-hungry shell of what they once were. Necromancy is dangerous because it's not just a tool for destruction. It's a force that disrupts the balance of life, corrupts the soul, and can bring about the downfall of entire societies. Whether through the raising of undead armies or the quest for immortality at any cost, necromancers wield a power that is both unnatural and deadly. If unleashed, this magic could lead to the collapse of humanity, leaving nothing but a world of the living dead. And that is a future none of us want to see. For deeper insights into these mythical races, click on the video to your left. And for more captivating mythology content, check out the video to your right. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads.